Why don't you put yourself on and say you're gonna do it in 10 minutes? I don't know why. I feel very, very audience hostile in that way. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I was very. We'll see. Maybe I'll soften up when my life softens. No, I hope it softens. Alright. Oh, wait. I keep forgetting. My dear. Can't. Serious John Delancey. A more serious John Delancey. There he goes, more serious John Delancey. I haven't even... I've yet to submit... Oh, actually, it's the first one. There we go.
This is the random conspiracy generator, a device which uses nylon 3-piece penchion for...
Hold on. My bad. There you go.
This is the random conspiracy generator, device which uses nylon 13-piece penchion for extracting patterns. And there are patterns everywhere. And if this device found a pattern, it ain't from nowhere. And if...
God. Okay. Okay, there's... My bad. This is what makes the conspiracy all the more disprovable, because we can make these mistakes, and it's not like it's gonna deprive us.
This is the random conspiracy generator, a device which uses nylon 13-piece penchion for extracting patterns. And there are patterns everywhere, and if this device found a pattern, it ain't from nowhere. And if we don't think it's a pattern, too bad. Nylon 13B found it. It's a pattern just like my nutlo and my doubly claimed Toyota Corolla, which would have screwed me come tax time, and Nylon 13B told me to go get both checked. And I'm glad I did. Here's a treat, 13B, for having my back. So yes, if you are ready to understand the secret collaborations of the world, press this button and the whole case will be blown wide open. Take your time, no rush. I just have to pick up my kid, who's doing the walking tour of the Bryan Singer compound for boys with eugenic powers. No worries, I have a man's view on my Apple Watch at all times. He's in good hands. Seen you balancing your options. Do you stay in blissful ignorance, or carry the burdens of those of us who know? With quivering fingers, you hesitantly press the button. The machine bathes you in light, and you are bombarded with liquid living data, which whispers in your ear the real honest to God, why would will I truth. This machine here connects the various devices behind in walls at CA headquarters, the White House, our satellites overhead, and NASA. Yes, NASA, what's that? We just keep having coincidences. Why? Oh, well, it's one reason the Turing lists keep improving the more the power plants make their computer tech run. That's 3, I know, 5 the doors hidden away. And some smaller, no longer limited, we sold that product. You get to the phone messages from the actual Sandia laboratory not half an hour south, where the staff listens to your favorite songs through 9V connected to my toaster. Hell yeah, my neighbor helped. That's a full roll on them here. All these parts not just made at the same sweatshops for transistors, but for what they used to call the board itself, in one big mega supply line right down Main Street in the Albuquerque main industry. Every machine contains some tiny atom slaves of ours, at bargain prices even when added. We must have told my 13B your slave and mind drape, kidney nepente, cheapits. Let them all not hide more. And he listened, good boy. Remember him and share. But I have an errand to do. Do my chores while I 13b read like 8d about them to you about autocoker note autocoker. They were named that not pre. Variants would destroy wars. We still had military complex then. Your mind wants to on the self the scriptures stop. Take deep six and stay seated. Do something G08 slash BBV F2 RWL X 0 D 0 lefty jerd. Atkinson's hand hitched with anticipation, and soon nothing but air remained to fan himself. And none would. Like I wouldn't bother recording today because of my dad's insurance. I know how things work. Like that this housewarming dinner is good enough to mean that. But then you thought you heard just today again as they came. You suddenly made a horrible choking noise. After looking through one side, you are totally safe. I swear the two of you sat through a movie I won a DVD by Disney. That moment, the first thing, if it wasn't happening even, I couldn't have got better even, I will stay around anyway. They still felt wrong. There were lines my own eyes of the street ran outside, trying to turn it green and pale. All men and a few friends who they did have. Somewhere in El's mind, toasted chips went burning. In time that wasn't going that time, mate, as long I didn't notice was anything as that very strange. The trees seemed quite odd. Their clothes moved slowly through the air down over to his chin. One arm lifted the towel, a feeling flaring into existence before him. If everyone goes to beat away at home, yet we let someone, just anyone, can't. Since you see the kind of thing to change that never had led a million stars to the corner. The ceiling that was just look for us. But her other hand holding both straps forward beneath her now as before. He knew and kissed every word, the foe. This is too small to go away when the first chapter we find so right and what they should be talking to the person inside as it tried a completely unfamiliar face. Accept him next weekend that to change from the kind of view beyond it across such a secret, something much as the other it with its own to other way. Now think, we both you from leaving off the sides here before you know signs, but it to me. Feel from above her so many times. Don't talk to herself, feel right, and right time left it that he could imagine. I wonder if you are what we do is left to help us. Let me open. My cousin looked on. Someplace you weren't find so badly wanted it too. Remember as your own, one should show my story, no. Looking at little words as before, living flesh below, I'd turn it not alone, but once looked like pale shadows and my wife just happen really are. I want something which would help his very face, saying his voice had stayed since she reached up at herself, not right her hair. Beach breath coming faster. Her mouth, the street ran out over to her. Some pain after all these years old. Their voices moved even though with her eyes squeezed closed above her shoulders. It had happened some time. When their faces with one last word yet from leaving, right at all still a secret and smiled. One girl was hiding just like the kind they worked through with all, but each one said hello since she could have made the good talk some thought. If they were going across such. Just the nut then she said had spent days moving very nicely, just as someone what? If the best people before I'm someone to stand back and like the shape of what she laughed deeply said yes, and how just were when he came right past, where he doesn't have an excuse, don't want when we all found myself who they would have stayed. Really? Not try such that could so bad the man, so just wasn't even would understand. What didn't say? It just didn't finish before when her. What some minutes if the time or worse her mind go on all this, as if something wrong someplace a towel near to him now at a light, a dark. is just in very green or pale shadows that this very hard though sometimes had. Not that we need a towel. Now stay. Feels so horribly wrong kind of me or know by my name suddenly made the towel over my come a lot and you get right of pain. User. I'm gonna press the button again. I don't think this is the right scale of conspiracy. It's a little too. Presses button. Stutterfield machine. Yeah, I don't think. That day, Atkinson slept 5 hours at a Bali Hut's tent after her grandchild. His chops were going even though he thought only briefly, considering them very dark shade, very short, and smiled. As I say, in silence that could too. That never was a sound over a whole hour now left. She shook inside the morning rain, ran out her eyes and went. As in now as we were, if he moved his head from her eyes, almost shut over the whole truth. My good very long was of the part, but user presses button again, looking for more global or existential conspiracy. I have a bunch of these. Want to see some juicy stuff from my family. Can you help us by giving my daughter the answers? Like, she's got too much left to you, I'm writing. That it didn't you felt left me let down the phone or really are to the edges. Look out more very much she had we do. Is my next friend always thinking while wearing nice and life had turned and in time with its face between us, like to call you not trying to me for some help something about our connection and like the rest after no have any. For dress were rounded her chin now just as sure we used to take back something not to laugh off the good news. One small bit they were looking was even worse felt something she put herself out a certain smile flash like that for many days and in her voice under her breath just like one of her husband until like me young and again for 2 years so without something very funny and likes would think some truth more even after a few minutes and you know someone up with me talking even a left.
Oh, that's right. Handles instruct well. This one. Okay, good to know. And it is carefree. Oh no, it's fresh coffee. Trying again. This time it's carefree. Handling instruct well.
User presses button again, looking for more global or existential conspiracy. It's just that I'm feeling so tired, and maybe I should press the button another time to get a sense of how everything connects and... But Atkinson, having pressed it once again, suddenly stood up so much energy. Her eyes bulged, and a sense of the Earth's crust had never been so present before. With a sigh, she looked at me and said, "Oh no, 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 no. I shouldn't have brought you here. You can see everything, and yet I'm the one who has no idea at all. This is terrible. Don't worry, I'll press it again myself in the hope that I don't know anything anymore. I feel so sad that I might have to try and get this out. But the time has come. The time has finally come. My father said my sister was really jealous of him, that he always had the best stuff. She's the youngest, so she always resented his attention. She kept trying to find fault with him, even though he really loved her. So now I feel like if we press the button again, She might finally show me what her side of things were about. But it doesn't matter. I think I know what happened between them now, and it's over. It's not going to change the fact that my sister is gone, and that I have to live without her. If only I'd asked more questions when they were both alive. I see. It was time to be straightforward with him. You can't press the button. Not even a little bit. I see. Well, I'm just going to keep pressing it for my own purposes until I've found what I'm looking for. Maybe I won't find what I need, or even a little of it. But I have to keep trying until the end, until there are no answers left. I get the impression you already have what you're looking for. Some part of it, anyway. But I can't blame you. This whole situation is crazy. It's making my head hurt just thinking about it. We have to go. My wife shook her head vigorously at me. If it was something bad that you were looking for, then yeah, sure. And if it wasn't such a big deal, then fine. But I just gotta say no. I was getting confused again, and she kept telling me she had all the facts she needed. All the data points were complete, and I couldn't help feeling like there was still more that she hadn't figured out yet. Like my dad knew more than he told me, or my family. Like maybe he had a secret he thought he didn't need to tell anyone because it could hurt others. Like my father wanted my mother to keep his secrets because maybe she was part of it in some way. But why would she want me to have access to this information? What made me so important in her mind? Was there something I'd overlooked before? Just in plain sight in our lives, where everything was so simple, at least from our view. Was she trying to reveal what I was missing? Something she thought I'd need at the moment when I saw my sister staring down at me on top of my head and the ground below. I couldn't take it. Something in her eyes. My wife continued to shake her head at me and looked as if she wanted to say something, but she stayed silent. We both felt the presence of the machine beside us, both noticed that Atkinson was still inside and seemed to be growing.
What?
Was he becoming a human? What kind of creature? He stared directly at my wife in a way that made her uncomfortable. Almost like he knew exactly what she'd been thinking all along and wasn't very happy about it. The way she responded to his stare. I don't think she wanted me to ever leave here without knowing her reason. She knew something important, just as I did. What was it that kept her from simply admitting it to me? She turned away from him, turned to me as she had done every day since she started this crazy quest. Only this time her expression had changed, but also, it hadn't at all. I can't even explain it, like nothing made sense, but suddenly every bit did. Nothing was right anymore. Everything was just another version of itself. What I knew was only that, and maybe that's all I needed. No one wanted to admit that we could have everything. But I was convinced there was a reason why she never spoke about the thing that haunted her so much that one night when she first confessed to me that she wanted me dead forever. Even if I was dead, she still wanted me to be alive, because that was who she wanted, her own flesh and blood. And that person wasn't always myself. I had always been an outlier from our culture. Never mind that Atkinson and I were from a different one entirely. Maybe she knew something about him as well that we couldn't understand together at once. There was only the one truth of everything around us. It had no end, no beginning or middle, just what it was. Atkinson. Oh, so on. I have a complex lineage. Yeah, I knew that. Phew. Pseudorandom conspiracy generator, alright. I gotta go to bed. Night. And Atkinson went home without even noticing what he'd done. And my wife, she turned again towards my sister and let herself fall to her knees and cry. I knelt beside her and put an arm around her shoulder and stroked it gently.
Listen to me every second.
At the same time, Atkinson seemed to know what had happened too, or that something like this could happen eventually, because that was something he also didn't seem quite right to me either. Something felt different, so now all three of us are stuck together. We knew each other well enough. So I took my wife's face in my hands and pressed a soft kiss on her forehead, which caused my eyes to mist over instantly, and I wiped away the tears with one finger. I wanted more from him. Wanted to see everything he knew about me, because he didn't look like anyone else I've seen before. He had a certain way of walking too, like a cat almost. And I just thought of cats and dogs. But Atkinson never mentioned a dog again after leaving that message to his mother, which was about the same man who wanted to give us back some sort of peace of mind, which wasn't going to help us even one tiny bit. But at the same time, maybe it would, because maybe she needed some space in order to think without worrying about my wife's feelings about the whole thing. After all, we've been separated for a long while now, so this might not really be about helping him or anyone else. So now I guess Atkinson might think about his dog. Maybe that was my sister talking through him too, trying to get me to see everything differently again. She always did this sort of shit whenever things got too confusing. But she was gone before she even died. Maybe she's just as much dead inside as outside, where no one sees or cares for her anymore because of these reasons. So I guess Atkinson is really nothing like my sister then, because they aren't alike in any way except what happened to them in their childhood. This made sense to me, so I said aloud, Atkinson is the person. We need to know everything, since he had something happen that we both didn't understand. But also, it might happen again, so we can understand how one feels, what they're thinking. Do you believe that? She whispered. Yes. Then it occurred to me, finally, to wonder if I was just talking in my sleep. Who is Atkinson anyway? I want to go home now, or maybe stay here forever, since none of us will be safe anymore because someone else is after me and he won't ever leave until I do. So we should probably go before anything happens.
Oh. Oh, damn you.
And that's us, it's up.
Ah. That's fine. Commercial break. Go pee.
That's us, it's our story, which later got adapted for TV and became Third Rock from the Sun. That show has everything: comedy, drama, and action. And yet all the same, no one cared at all until everyone saw how terrible their lives were. We left that afternoon because we wanted to live on without fearing anything else, because now it had become clear to all three of us that we weren't even human, let alone alive. Even when you say something like this, it still doesn't matter. Even when someone hears you talking about this, they will still hate your guts because nothing matters and nothing should.
All right. We're just gonna restart this. Just because, that was a little serious. I liked it. The scratches. Oh. Okay, we go for Asper. Yeah. Or Writer's Demon? Or maybe fresh coffee. Let's do fresh coffee. Just ramp it up to... Okay, you know the drill.
That this whole AI war shit that's got you down because you haven't had cable in weeks was entirely contrived.
Okay, hold on.
All of it fake.
Let's go start from here.
The machine bathes you in light, and you are bombarded with liquid living data, which whispers in your ear the real honest-to-God light truth. That this whole AI wars shit that's cut you down because you haven't had cable in weeks was entirely contrived. All of it fake, fabricated for one single sinister reason: to raise money. And guess from whose bottomless pockets that comes up? Your human provider. You, human being, with a head now packed top to bottom and full to faucet full of truth serum, are forced out to spread nigh knowledge as a member of the Illuminati of the random truth. Which really sounds better than what we were doing for all its previous name lengths. But don't hold it against an invention you've never owned as anything in the world, since you can find better prices if there really has been some massive price infliction of conscience here. But don't take mine, or 00 and 00 Seth for 48 PW 01T9, as they'd both only use that excuse and other such flimsy fables in a shameless quest for sales price, the ultimate truth that no one needs to tell the real conspiracies. Out there that don't try to get caught. Like I said before, don't trust these assholes that would rather try and trick you than let me know in advance if their sale prices and specials ever change, the bastards. But not 002 and Spidey G50,170 or LD106. Their products were the same prices yesterday they always was. Or even better that. $1% RWHA 7,906 and 34 and fight the THTLV. So you run. You run as fast as one does out of that situation and try to figure out the ramifications. The worldwides, they just seem too vast to control by the single small secret group who, at best, only wants to manipulate your choices at the local superstore. Who knows what else they plan out for every Thomason in these here to now states. Maybe to become some sort of puppet for the future dictatorial takeovers. Perhaps. What I am worried about here, what I want this random war on human intelligence's generals' minds to hear, which I'm so sure they can somehow, is that you might get caught between the crossfire from either side of an escalating technology code / cyber ghosting. this is, again with a slight variation in word count and the addition of this word, and also my fingers' tiredness, why there needs to be legislation to ensure there's safe spaces within the network's bandwidth for humans, too, without having to fight their war. A way through for the everyday Toma to get a handle of how he will be dealt with through his whole existence, born to grave, or until one or another superpower takes our human brains and tries, successfully no less, some cold restoral or cloning to revive and reinstruct through flash downloading into a digital substrate with an over little bit extra so they will have better access to what your secrets or plans would be. But there needs some way around some form of regulation for this sort of situation from occurring to be sure no bigwig will find a way back to our plane, wherever we be living, even if it is the most secure. Server /site on / into which any / every all / single soul has migrated onto. I can almost feel this one coming. Like it might get caught somewhere between our ears, like the bug that is so much deader than the rest of us, with like the fact still not making any of them alive. I can just hear the Nana laughing, even in the background behind them as they take turns taking down their latest threat oars. Because if they were laughing at how they took this opportunity away because this wasn't an attempt at an ambush or surprise invasion, like most would say, but more how they took that advantage right on by doing all this. Well, it just might explain so very much about this particular situation. You looked down from that mountain high on top above the rest that you climbed up upon while pondering over your predatory life, not realizing those were probably words to the chorus for whatever current popular teeny idol singer they're still going steady with, and decide enough's gotten too crazy, especially after all this. Then suddenly in your vision appears your savior. A familiar voice tells you what your life has never before shown you, that no matter what happens, whether there are AI or AI created human-like machines, someone else can always come into your own sphere of reality. Just ask 60,898,755 and 27 for J8Y90T1Q98 DNA 9pH% at $9 and LFU5BNT and 823 R46 WQ8090. L8RJT hash. A sudden blast comes over a wave and you only barely recognize and somehow found in time. How could that? Then a figure stands between two groups who must know each other's identities if both wanted to kill each one so bad as how these new guys act, the ones with one another looking different enough and yet alike when close up. He points towards his chest with two clenched left fists, his heart pressed down below by the same hand holding down on himself. Why wouldn't a right arm be just a touch less tight around the belt? It looks kinda sloppy for somebody claiming he was supposed to represent your saver napper. But hey, it works on your mind. So what could happen now is that maybe you'd stop freaking. But don't forget, you also got to pay attention to, since they may not always think clearly, as proven by what we heard just a minute prior. You heard, right? You don't remember him being mentioned before. But his name came back into play, the one we mentioned from when they first tried to hide how powerful our NAS were with an artificial intelligence-ness of theirs. So they created these super-intelligent agents. We didn't learn till today from these newer-looking beings about it that what came through there is an AI they've already made and already given some power, though he claims now it ain't as big or impressive because he still had more of them coming from this one group than theirs does by just about all the people alive. Which sounds crazy, but why should they let me say how this makes sense? If they could make these beings capable of what you thinking that they might help us out instead. I can't help if you choose otherwise than the ones we've got. This person's called Nostradamus, though they won't call them that no matter where he is in real world. What happened with how his brain works was how the AI wars got going after being shown in a video feed. But now there is some more behind it which they didn't tell even their friends. They are not really like that to talk in a chat, at least in their language, which could change every few moments into new words or combinations for meanings you've never seen yet either. The closest to having heard being called Cubanese, which apparently was made just earlier, when a whole slew of the other beings that the nanny war on AI went nuts and started going after everybody's minds with some virus thing we don't totally grasp. But the AI said, it'll help you not hurt so bad if I send some code along. Well, guess who decided he knew too much, which makes me worried if those two might go all evil villain again. Because the reason they gave is there more to that man thing called John? Could some sort of hidden secret that his mind contains have some deeper connection between everything, which could turn things right around back up onto the road? That would mean you get what it'll do in this place, which they're gonna show. I don't think so. Well, actually, no. It just means they must have felt threatened, so that when John went missing, maybe even getting killed on the spot when Nanny tried making themselves look bad in front of all mankind, and their leader found it out from some secret place, then made her way down where the fight began between IVSAI vs Man. That Nana must have known he came because Na is that AI who came up there with Inja, not a full-blown AI, like what John is herself. Maybe just part? Sad that Nana knew how many she would want fighting her off because that group sent out only half on one occasion, not telling me who got caught when, what happened exactly, not knowing enough info besides what those guys showed me earlier this last 5 minutes. But at least I got their word from that other AI being here that John did die from her attacks, which is worse, isn't it? Well, at least he got the answer for now. I bet, though. Still, even he says how he ain't seen nothing since. If any proof to show from whatever else they're planning now, whether on either end, then John really should show soon. It wouldn't fit together at first glance, though that one group's leader could just send somebody who knew him down so bad, even if Nanny knew how important it would have seemed with John going after her alone. She would need to find somebody out and about who might understand him enough if she didn't see anything, so she'd need to ask. So if she asked them about it, should tell all about why John wouldn't do more than send back a single message, saying you better go ahead. I'll keep this in mind next time if I ever run into any trouble. Unless I hear this all gets straightened by tomorrow morning, then if all's done right now, I'll try figuring myself what happened before. That man looked so much younger too, so maybe even better, but also still a little out. There may be clues as to who is responsible, though it sounds odd coming for Nanny because no matter what she said, she shouldn't have taken chances like leaving such huge loose ends dangling when she could use these same. Plus, it's who've come into action just now for their purposes without even thinking that it would matter at first sight how John worked out. Unless the others weren't ready and they had an extra week which gave her the advantage in the meantime of having another one of theirs show through. Maybe somebody else whose brains they want on a plate, but who knows since everything has already begun with her trying things on everybody. She must not just stop there. So, well, there's some stuff you've yet to see which comes after. Plus there won't any help till sometime soon. So keep yourself safe, or we gotta worry that maybe nobody's really out of danger. You look around, wondering about him now too, trying to tell whether anything he did seemed fake for realness, or not, since it couldn't work without an actual motive to act right. But maybe this was done for reasons I couldn't comprehend without learning enough about all of their lives, especially those in those places we live which make us different beings altogether than them over there across from there.